other makes you wet. It's a brand new day, so you better get set. You can't argue with the cloud, and crying's not allowed. So come outside and sing this song. Sunny day, rainy day, what's the difference anyway? One makes you wet and the other makes you dry. It's a brand new day, so get outside. The weatherman was wrong, but you knew that all along. So come outside and sing this song. Sunny day, rainy day, what's the difference anyway? One makes you dry and the other makes you wet. It's a brand new day, so you better get set. You can't stop the northeast wind, but you can wear a silly grin. So come outside and sing this song. Just come outside and sing this song. Sunny day, rainy day, what's the difference anyway? Sunny day, rainy day, what's the difference anyway?
Hey guys, how you doing? Nice to see ya.
What's the difference anyway? Sunny day.
What's it like out there? Nice? Hi, how's it going? Hey, Shanice. Hey. How you doing, Moses? Make sure you get your stuff all lined up. Oh, my goodness. Great to see ya. Go put your coat and your thing over there. Hey, Sam.
Hi.
How's it going?
Good.
Okay. Good. Well, good morning to you, sir. I love dinner parties, sir. Nothing beats great company and tasty food. You want me to come to your dinner party, sir? Well, I'm flattered. I'd love to. Oh, you need some songs to bring to your dinner party about food. But sir, I'm no chef. I don't know anything about food. Okay, let's see now. Songs about food. Okay, guys, now listen up. Here's today's mission. By the end of the day, we've got to have 6 songs about food. Now, I know it's not going to be easy, and we're all going to have to work real hard. But if we work together as a team, we're going to do great.
Can we eat yet? I'm hungry.
Not yet, Nicholas. But can anybody around here name their favorite foods?
I love gummy bears.
I like chocolate.
I like popsicles.
I like nuts.
You are a nut.
Hey, I think we've just found ourselves a food song. Hey, Sam, could you sing I'm a Nut for us?
Okay.
All right. Shanice, hit record.
I'm a little acorn, nice and round. I live away down in the ground, and everyone walks over me, and that is why I'm cracked. You see, I'm a nut in a rut. I'm a nut in a rut. I call myself on the telephone just to hear my golden tone. I ask myself for a little date. I pick myself up about 8:30. I'm a nut in a rut. I'm a nut in a rut. I love me, I think I'm grand. I sit in the movies and hold my hand. I put my arm around my waist, and when I get fresh, I slap my face. I'm a nut in a rut. I'm a nut in a rut.
That's great, Sam. All right. Amazing. What a team. Nice one, Sam. That's great. The mail bell. I wonder what it could be. Are you guys expecting anything?
Not me.
Wow. Well, this is a surprise. They're muffins. Someone is sending us some yummy muffins. I wonder who it could be. It's not my Aunt Betty because she's on vacation in Florida. Let me think here.
Do you know the Muffin Man?
The Muffin Man?
The Muffin Man, who sells his muffins on the street.
Well, I guess.
It must be a special delivery from the Muffin Man.
Well, aren't we a lucky bunch?
A lucky lunch.
A lucky lunch for a lucky bunch. Now, why don't you guys eat these, and I'll sing you a song called The Muffin Man. I remember this one.
Oh, do you know the Muffin Man, the Muffin Man, the Muffin Man? Oh, do you know the man who sells his muffins in the street? Do you know the Muffin Man, the Muffin Man, the Muffin Man? Oh, do you know the Muffin Man, his wares are such a treat? Yes, I am the Muffin Man, the Muffin Man, the Muffin Man. Oh, yes, I am the man who sells my muffins on the street. Yes, I am the Muffin Man, the Muffin Man, the Muffin Man. Oh, yes, I am the Muffin Man. My wares are such a treat.
That was good. Were those muffins good?
Yeah.
I remember once I ate so much spaghetti that I couldn't even get up from my chair. Whoa, that was good.
Wow, that was a lot of pasta. It's a good thing you're such a growing girl.
I remember once I ate so many mashed potatoes that I didn't eat again for a whole week.
Oh, mashed potatoes, I love them. But I bet you were eating potatoes in no time at all. You say potato, and I say potato. You say tomato, and I say
When I
tomato.
was small and I didn't feel well, my mother used to sing a fun food song to me.
She did? Well, what song was it?
I remember it was a song about bread.
Bread. Was it about French bread?
It didn't sound French.
Was it brown bread?
No, it wasn't brown.
Gee. Was it long bread?
No, it wasn't long. Actually, it was short. That's it, shortening bread.
Shortening bread? That was my favorite song when I was a kid. Well, let's all sing it together. Shanice? Good one, Sam. Three little babies lying in a bed, two of them sick and the other most dead. Sent for the doctor and the doctor said, give them babies some shortening bread. Mama, little baby loves shortening, shortening. Mama, little baby loves shortening bread. Mama, little baby loves shortening, shortening. Mama, little baby loves shortening bread. Put on the skillet and put on the lid, and Mama's gonna make a little shortening bread. That isn't all she's gonna do. Mama's gonna make a little coffee too. Mama, little baby loves shortening, shortening. Mama, little baby loves shortening bread. Mama, little baby loves shortening, shortening. Mama, little baby loves shortening bread. Go in the kitchen, lift up the lid, fill my pockets with shortening bread. Stole the skillet, stole the lid, stole the gal making shortening bread. Mama, little baby loves shortening, shortening. Mama, little baby loves shortening bread. Mama, little baby loves shortening, shortening. Mama, little baby loves shortening bread. Caught with skillet, caught with a lid, caught with the gal making shortening bread. $6 for the skillet, $6 for the lid. Spent 6 months until eating shortening bread. Mama, little baby loves shortening, shortening. Mama, little baby loves shortening bread. Mama, little baby loves shortening, shortening. Mama, little baby loves shortening bread. All right. Woo-hoo. Nice one. Great singing. Well, now we are cooking. Break time.
Can you tell us a fun story about food?
Well, I sure can. I got a great story.
Yay!
Right. Now, I'm going to tell you guys a story about the first thing that I ever cooked. Okay? Now, let me think now. I think I was about your age. And my brother was just about to turn 8. And I thought it'd be a really nice surprise to make him a beautiful wedding cake.
No, you didn't. You don't bake wedding cakes on people's birthdays. You only bake wedding cakes on people's weddings.
Birthday cakes for I didn't say that?
Birthday.
What did I say?
You said wedding cake.
Oh, right. Okay. All right. Well, let's take from the beginning so we get it all right, okay? So, I was about your age. My brother was about to turn 8. And I thought it'd be a nice surprise to make him a beautiful
Birthday cake!
Right. So, I thought, well, what I've got to do is I got to go into the room where you've got the recipes and all the stuff you need. So I went straight into that special room called the garage.
No, you didn't.
I didn't go into the garage
Go to the kitchen.
to make a cake.
Yeah.
You're right. Actually, now that I think about it, I don't remember a car sitting in there. It must have been the kitchen. Okay, well, let's get this all straight. So it was my brother's birthday. I decided to make him a beautiful
Birthday cake.
That's right. So I went into that special room where you make stuff like that called the
Kitchen.
So I found a big bowl, and I found all the stuff you need to make a cake. I found flour, put in some flour. I found some eggs, put in that. Put in some milk, some sugar, and some delicious motor oil.
No, you didn't. You put chocolate.
Chocolate?
Not motor oil. You use motor oil for cars.
That's right. I guess I'm still in the garage in my head. Not very good? Okay, chocolate, that's right. All right. I decided to make for my brother a delicious
Birthday cake.
and I went into that special room in the house where you can make a birthday cake, which is called
Kitchen.
Right. And so I went in there, I found a big bowl, I put in all kinds of stuff, flour, sugar, eggs, and
Chocolate.
that's right, chocolate. So I stirred it all up, and I poured it into this pan, and I took the pan, and I put it in the oven, turned on the oven to the right temperature, and about a half hour later, I pulled it out, and it was beautiful. It was absolutely perfect. It smelled really good and everything. But there was still something missing. I decided that what I've got to do is put some blue paint all over it.
No, you didn't.
Well, you can't just have bare cake. You got to have something on
No, you put icing.
icing. Why was I thinking paint? That's right, I remember. It's because my car was blue. That's probably what I was thinking of. Okay, so let's go to the beginning. I decided to make a nice
Birthday cake.
for my brother who was turning 8, and so I decided to go into the
Kitchen.
to make it. I got a big bowl. I put in all kinds of stuff, including the
Chocolate.
That's right. Stirred it all up, put it in a pan, stuck it in the oven, turned on the oven, waited, came out. It was beautiful, but I still had to put on some.
Icing.
That's right. And there was only one thing missing now. Because he was turning 8, I had to put 8 brand new shiny spark plugs all across it.
didn't. You put some candles, not spark plugs.
Not spark plugs?
Because candles is what you put on birthday cake.
Candle, but why?
So you can blow them out.
You blow them out so that he can make a wish.
Oh, of course. You can't blow out a spark plug, can you?
No.
Okay. So, okay, well, let's get this whole story straightened out, okay? I was a little kid, just like you guys, just like you, and I decided to make for my brother a nice...
Birthday cake.
Right. So I went into that special room where you make a birthday cake called a...
Kitchen.
Right. So I went in the kitchen, got a big bowl, put a lot of stuff in it, including some delicious...
Chocolate.
That's right. Put in the chocolate, put it in the pan, stuck it in the oven, took it out of the oven. I still had to put on the...
Icing.
That's right. And the last thing I did is I put on 8 nice little...
Candles.
That's right, for my brother to blow out.
Did you eat the cake?
Well, that's the funny bit. Actually, I don't think anyone ate the cake. In fact, I remember my mother saying that I couldn't cook again until I went to cooking school. Ah, there's the whistle. I guess it's time to get back to work, guys.
That was a really fun story.
Yeah.
See, food really can be fun.
I don't like seafood. It's kind of fishy. I remember my grandfather used to sing me this great food song.
Really? Well, what was it about?
It was about these long green things.
Long green things. You must mean green beans.
Well, sort of. Except you ate the little round green things inside of it.
Well, that must be peas.
Yeah, that's it. Goober peas.
Well, green peas, snow peas, goober peas, they're all tasty. I think I know that song. You know, actually, goober peas have another name that a lot of people don't know.
What's that?
Well, let me give you a hint. A lot of kids eat sandwiches made with mushed up goober peas almost every day.
Yuck, a mashed up pea sandwich.
All right, well, let me give you another hint. Elephants just love them.
Peanuts!
That's right. Goober peas and peanuts are the same thing. They just have two different names. And the song goes like this. Shanice, hit it.
Sitting by the roadside on a summer day, chatting with my messmates, passing time away. Lying in the shadow underneath the trees, goodness how delicious, eating goober peas. Peas, 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 eating goober peas. Goodness how delicious, eating goober peas. Just before the battle, the general hears a row. He says the Yanks are coming, I hear the rifles now. He turns around and wonder, what do you think he sees? It's the state militia eating goober peas. Peas, 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 eating goober peas. Goodness how delicious, eating goober peas. Peas, 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 eating goober peas. Goodness how delicious, eating goober peas. Well, that was a nutty food song.
Yeah!
Well, I don't know about you guys, but I need something to drink to help wash down all this food.
Great idea.
Now, does anybody know any good drink songs?
I'm thirsty.
Me too.
Now, let's see. Songs about drinks. Well, what kind of drinks are there?
There's milk.
Well, I don't know any songs about milk.
There's juice.
Juice, that's great. Anybody know any good juice songs?
No.
There's soda pop.
Soda pop, that's great. I love soda pop. You guys love soda pop?
Yeah.
Yeah, but unfortunately, I don't know any songs about soda pop. I can't think of any drink songs at all. You know what? I think what I'll do is I'll put on the kettle, and then I'll make myself a nice cup of tea, and then I'll probably...
That's it.
What?
You said put the kettle on.
Yeah?
Well, there's a song called Polly Put the Kettle On.
That's a great idea, Kelly. Let's do it. Shanice?
Polly put the kettle on. Polly put the kettle on. Polly put the kettle on. We'll all have tea. Suki, take it off again. Suki.
Welcome to the SubGenius Radio Ministry, Hour of Slack, sponsored by the Church of the SubGenius.
Yes, dear friends. It's me, Reverend Stanground, Halloween of 2018. The world is too much with me again, so we've got to do a rerun. This one was suggested by a longtime listener who has caught on that we get so little feedback that if somebody requests something old, I'll dig it up because we're just happy they remember something well enough to ask for it. So the upcoming was originally Hour of Slack number 414 from the year of 1993, 25 years ago. But it's strangely perfectly timely because it's about life and death, and especially death. And this year and last year have been real bad years for some of our old friends and loved ones, and some not so old. I now, friends, I officially hate incurable, chronic, crippling, painful diseases far more than I hate the entire conspiracy of humans. And that's some serious hate with a capital H. And they both have something in common. They're mindless. And yet, they're plowing through us just because we're outnumbered. So we have to stick together, friends. I forgive everybody for everything, and I hope they forgive me. I just can't forgive the diseases or the mindless conspiracy of childish, vengeful pinks. Anyway, this show is largely me as a baby reading stuff just freshly written from our second Bible, Revelation X, before it was edited and pared down by half. So there's some old school SubGenius Doctrine revealed in this show that never saw the light of day again until now. So let the calendar pages fall away as we go back to the year of 1993. I sound a lot younger in this old tape and faster, but you'll see some things have not changed at all.
Praise that man, Bob. And, we didn't really have time to edit tapes tonight. I could just play music, but anything I picked you'd think was too normal and old-timey. And to play a lot of SubGenius tapes, I have to pre-screen them first, and that usually takes up about half of my Sunday. It's a preacher's job, and that's fine. I love doing it, and it's a good break from the pressures of working on this book. More book, young lady? Yeah, this book we're trying to finish a year late, Revelation X, the Bob Apocryphon. But last week, friends, no, I gotta put the scary music back on. Last week, Simon & Schuster called, the publishers, my editor, and she said that I have to have the text totally finished, chopped down and proofread in 30 days. 30 days, my friends.
Where I went
Well, that was the Rainmakers. Love that band, the Rainmakers, and that's how I felt all week. So, starting yesterday, I went to hell and decided to finish the hell chapter by Tuesday night, this Tuesday night, so that I can whack the UFOs chapter together by Thursday, and then the epistles and appendix, and then I'll have 3 weeks to finish the rewrites and touch-ups of the other 400 pages that will take them back down to 200 pages. Yes, and actually, I got most of that hell chapter done since yesterday, so guess what you're stuck with, friends? No, I'm not going to read the whole night. I did manage to find some remarkably apropos bits of tape without even looking too hard. Thanks, Will, for helping. But let us read here, and this is perfect time to read this particular material, because a lot of it was originally written for the spoken word preacher material, and has not yet been loftyized, shall we say. It has not been turned into the written SubGenius form, whereby you use a thesaurus and add big words and remove apostrophes. But it is chapter 9, Heaven and Hell, the realms of death and the before life, and hints on living like there's no tomorrow. This, by the way, folks, is based on extrapolations and direct revelations from the incomplete Dobbs Inferno manuscript, translated from the original tongue of the dead, dictated by the tormented earthbound lower half of the spirit of J.R. Bob Dobbs through Transmedium X. The music, by the way, in the background right now is the great Reverend Dr. J. Condom on his Zombo Fropland album, or Music to Pee By. I can't remember what the exact title of it is. It's in your catalog, okay? And of course, every chapter we start off with quotes, lofty type quotes and apropos things that and there's always too many of them. We'll have to cut most of these. In fact, a lot of what you'll be hearing will be changed by the time it comes out in fall '94. Yes, the fall '94 catalog. That's right, Virgil, said Dobbs, loosening his collar. It is getting rather hot in here. And as Dr. Kataydin Legume, the evil Dr. Legume, said, the best way to buy your way into heaven using let me take two. The best thing to do is buy your way into heaven using somebody else's soul, and buy your way out using somebody else's soul, and keep your own in your pocket at all times. Yes. And as the great Reverend Sheldon DeWare said, the difference between heaven and hell is which end of the pitchfork you're on. Yep. And as Bob said in his diary at age 15, I choose to believe in an afterlife only because it is too horrible to believe that such a cool stud as myself could be allowed to disappear from the universe. And he also said, and this line was printing out just when my daughter's guest was looking at the computer. Bob said, I walked into hell the minute I stepped out of my ma's, we'll just say ma, I guess. To hell and back, death, rebirth, and the before life. It could happen anytime, friend, anytime. Just walking in the garden, you could suddenly die. A branch might crack overhead and fall straight down, tip first, spearing the top of your head exactly, all the way down into your rib cage and destroying so much of your brain so suddenly that you'd never know what hit you. And you'd think you were still walking down that trail, and you'd hear a noise and turn and see your friend crying over your own impaled body. And that's when you'd realize that you were a ghost. Or a meteor could plunge from space and crush you. Now! Right now! Would you be ready? Would you be ready, my friend, if it happened the instant you finish hearing this sentence? Oh, but don't worry about the death of the body. Leaving the meat shell is roughly the equivalent of taking off your shoes. But you're not supposed to really know that. From the grand evolutionary point of view, it would greatly impede the survival of the species if we all knew we could just jump off a bridge and suddenly be beautiful, immortal souls, free of debt, in a wonderful heaven of telepathy and love and infinite joy. And yet we've all heard stories from people who were clinically dead and had these near-death, out-of-the-body experiences just before they were resuscitated on a hospital table. And in most cases, they entered a tunnel of light leading to the shades of their deceased loved ones and a great light of love at the center of the universe. A few felt the flames of hell licking at them. Now, both of these lovely afterlives glimpsed during temporary death are real, but are designed only for those who are already fated to return to life and report back. Oh, by the way, this footnote here says that another misleading phenomenon used to prove an afterlife are the so-called phone calls from the dead and spirit voices at seances. And the deal is that the dead are allowed to make one telephone call, and only one, after they pass through the gates of the hereafter. But anyway, those particular kinds of afterlives that people come back from the dead having glimpsed, those are merely a ruse, a red herring, a hallucination, programmed into our genetic structure to throw us off the scent. A Wotan-implanted mental movie projector is triggered at the time of death to show this racial acid trip, so that the human race will always be hearing fairly plausible stories suggesting some sort of god and devil. But it's strictly for propaganda purposes. It's not even put there as a kindness. It's as a roller coaster ride, as a reward after all the tedious rigmarole of living and the usual pain of dying. What you find out too late, just as you're nearing that white light, is that it is really the headlights of an etheric Mack truck bearing down on you at 90 miles an hour. And it's the last second before the ultra-dimensional truck hits you that makes the gods laugh the hardest, the minute you suddenly realize that you've been tricked and are about to be killed again. And that's what happens if you aren't resurrected pretty quick. Each time that truck smashes you, you're reborn with amnesia, again floating towards that bright oncoming light. And every time you end up remembering what that light really is, an instant too late. Why this cruel, elaborate trick on poor, pathetic dead folks? It's 'cause God isn't trying to create something. He's trying to recreate nothing. Even God doesn't know where everything came from or how to get rid of it. Oh, just kidding. Friends, Bob wouldn't let God do that to you. In reality, every time you fully die, you get to go from one universe to another. Let me find some lovely reincarnation type music. There. Yes, you go from one universe to another. They start you off, however, in the before life, which is like eternal paradise, to kind of get you off on the right foot. And then all of a sudden you lose your memory and are born of woman onto this earthly plane. Then when you get old and die here, you pass on to one of the etheric universes next door. Bob once spoke of driving past the slag heaps of Midlothian, Texas, where the conspiracy melts down the fossilized metal skeletons of old cars to make into new ones, thence themselves to die and be smelted down again. He said that this is exactly how we endlessly experience, the eternal conveyor belt of karma, the great wheelbarrow of humiliation that we call existence. As Bob said in Transmission 47, "In my father's midway are many bumper car rides." And the before life for subgeniuses is like a huge carnival. You'll end up on many rides for fleeting eternities. One may be the roller coaster of alternating fear and joy. The next might be the tunnel of love. Hell is the ultimate spook house. Indeed, There are so many multiple death realities that there's even one where you're really dead and nothing happens and you don't exist. But most people think of life and death as only two states of being. The only two states of being. Actually, they are very small straws in a very large haystack. This haystack of death lives isn't an infinite one, though. There is a judgment day or splice in time that serves as both the beginning and end of a big repeating loop of all cause and effect. And beyond all these lives and alternate universes, the whole of creation is actually a vast pipe balanced on the back of a huge cosmic horned toad, and beneath that an all-encompassing fiddler crab. Nothing itself does not exist after that. But there's enough afterlives, however, that you'll get the afterlife that you really want. That's why so many preachers can't quit talking about hell. They try to get you all mixed up between heaven and hell.
The record reveals that many times the enemy of your soul has sorely tempted you, my child, giving you every opportunity to quit, had you desired to do so. But because you have been faithful in prayer, faithful in the reading of the Word, and because you have not forsaken the house of God, you have overcome the tempter and gained the crown of eternal life. For this I say, well done, thou good and faithful servant. Enter thou into the joys of thy Lord.
Praise God, I made it. I finally made it. Did you hear? I finally made it. Glory to God. Oh, I thank you, Lord, for thy mercy. I thank you, Lord. Blessed be thy name. Oh, I love you, Jesus. I thank you, Lord. Hallelujah. Glory to God. I made it. I made it. Hallelujah. Praise God. Thank you, Lord. Hallelujah.
The backslider will be there in that judgment. Though Christianity for centuries has operated on the thought that men could walk in and out with God, that they could turn back to the world and back to their sins, then come back to God without any loss, has led many to speculate in the most frightening way. But the Bible said, if the righteous man turn from his righteousness, then all of his righteousness shall be forgotten. Yes, sir. The backslider will be there in the judgment.
Call the next defendant. Dana Dean to the bar. Dana Dean, the record shows that in the year of your Lord, 1959, you received the glorious experience of salvation.
Almighty God, King of kings and Lord of lords, indeed it was a glorious experience.
The record goes on to reveal that for many years you were a faithful servant, performing your duties well. Because of your faithfulness in witnessing, many were brought into the glorious light of the gospel, and many souls were added to the kingdom. Because of your giving, my preachers were able to circle the globe with a message of salvation.
Sir, I gave back only part of that which was given unto me.
Were the records to stop here, my son, it would indeed be a wonderful story. But these faithful records are very careful to point out the darkest day in your life. It is stated here that in the year of your Lord, 1973, you turned your back upon your God and once more began to walk in your own way.
But, sir, I've come back. I've come back, sir. I'm closer now than I've ever been before. I've come back, sir. My God, I've come back.
Yes. The record shows that in the fourth watch of your life, you returned to the fold. What an awful price you must pay for your foolishness. Because you turned back, you have lost your reward. You shall enter heaven as a servant without a single soul to your credit.
It's unfair. It's so unfair. I've worked so hard for the kingdom all these years. It's unfair that I should lose all my credits now. Oh, my.
You knew all of this before you backslid. Show him his record. January 3rd, 1973.
But when the righteous turneth away from his righteousness, and committeth iniquity, and doeth according to all the abominations that the wicked man doeth, shall he live? All his righteousness that he hath done shall not be mentioned. In his trespass that he hath trespassed, and in his sin that he hath sinned, in them shall he die. This simply means that if you backslide and turn away from God, all the rewards that you've accumulated shall be lost.
I just don't understand how this could happen to me.
August 21st, 1973.
You mean you aren't going to church again today?
Baby, don't bother me. You know this is my only day off. I don't have to live in church to be saved.
Dana, if you aren't careful, you're going to miss out with the Lord completely.
I ain't going to church. It's my birthday, honey.
My son, you heard the word. You were warned. Were you so foolish as to think you could outwit the law of God? You have returned and have been saved as by fire. But the glory and the splendor that could have been yours throughout the ceaseless ages of eternity is an awful price to pay.
Oh, my, what a fool. Oh, to think that I could turn my back on God and make it on my own. My God, what a fool I've been. How foolish can a person be? Sir, I hope you haven't been the fool I've been. My God, what a fool.
Yes, friends, the SubGenius shall be at the judgment. Yes. And, it's sad. By the way, so far we've just been talking about the Christian hell and heaven. And we're going to be on that for a while, but you graduate to the SubGenius hell and then to the SubGenius heaven. We ain't written that part yet. But, we're told by people that are sometimes in tears. This happens when I'm talking about Bob on somebody else's talk show. Their voices will be cracking with emotion, and they'll be saying, "You're going to go to hell if you keep up this SubGenius church business." And it's because they've been shaken up pretty bad, possibly for the first time, by we who dare to laugh at the great, bearded, all-judging, all-non-forgiving unlaughable. The great unlaughable, my friends. And the Christian hell does exist, and it is the lowest rung of the ladder of the four lives. They aren't lying about that. What they don't tell you is that only Christians go there. It's a rare SubGenius that ends up in the Christian hell. The hell law, my friend, states that hell is reserved for those who believe in it. And the lowest level is for those who think that if they don't believe in it, they'll go there. Hell is God's revenge on those who insulted his intelligence, those vain and stupid enough to think God is as simple-minded, as vengeful as they are. God built hell only for Christians, Muslims, and others who believe in a devil. The devil's only job, actually, is to pester them, to milk out every drop of human faith and credence. Satan, or Ahriman, or whatever, is a very minor deity compared to Jehovah One, and has been bested in sexual prowess, if not in supernatural powers or demonic dominion, by none less than Bob himself. To any SubGenius dumb enough to take him seriously, the devil is at worst a figure of negative slack. Satan does run hell, and it's a very busy place these days, but as far as affecting earthly life, Satan's responsibilities cover only Middle Eastern-based religions. Jehovah One assigned the devil to create something that would really be hell on earth, so he came up with the idea of Christianity, which he then followed up with Islam. Jehovah One said to Satan, "We'll just let your hell on earth run randomly so the dupes will suffer and generate more pain for each other, and in the end it won't matter whether they were good or bad in life. We'll just divvy up the souls 50-50. How's that?" Friends, you might say that Christians are to blame for Satanism. If it weren't for Christians telling each other there's a devil, nobody would believe in him. And besides, for every satanic, ritualistic killing, 100 babies are killed spur of the moment by fanatic Christian nut parents who thought the kid was crying because it was possessed by Satan. And the only reason anybody serves Satan is because some Christian told them there was a Satan there to serve. How about that? However, there are 8 circles in the Christian hell. Dante's Inferno, however, is a hopelessly outdated work. Hell is constantly being upgraded in pain configurations to compensate for the ever-degenerating quality of life here on Earth. The types of sins required to damn a Christian to these varying levels of torment are, however, surprisingly minor. Here are some examples in ascending order of guiltiness and punishment. The first level, the easiest level of hell, is for instance, for people who said damn or gah. The second level is for those who might have felt lust in their hearts at one time. The third level, for people who, for instance, forgot to say sir or ma'am. Level 4 is for people who can't quote me John 6:14 and don't know what brand Jesus Christ smoked. Level number 5 is for people who opened their eyes during prayers in church. And level 6 is for that guy that ripped you off. Level 7 for murderers and rapists. And level 8 is reserved for members of, well, not members, for subgeniuses who neglected to spend that $30 membership.
If you are still going down and not liberated, I think I am. Meditate as follows. Okay. The sexual activities. I like that. The manipulation of machinery. The mocking laughter, dashing sounds, and terrifying apparitions. Indeed, all phenomena are in their nature illusions. They look real to me. However they may appear. You mean like a dream? In truth, they are unreal and fake. They won't stay? They are like dreams and apparitions, non-permanent, non-fixed. They'll go away? What advantage is there in being attached to them? Well, I'm scared. Or being afraid of them? I don't know. All these hallucinations of the mind. I like hallucinations. The mind itself does not exist. Oh, no? Therefore, why should they? Well, they look real. Only through taking these illusions for real will you wander around in this confused existence. Well, what are they? All these are like dreams. Yeah? Like echoes. Echoes. Like cities of clouds. Like mirages. Like mirrored forms. What the? Like phantasmagoria. Is that what that is? The moon seen in water. What should I do? Not real even for a moment. Yeah? By holding one pointedly to that train of thought. Okay. The belief that they are real are dissipated. All right. And liberation is attained. What? Fourth method. Meditation on the void. All substances are part of my own consciousness. What? This consciousness is vacuous, unborn, and unceasing. What was that? All substances are part of my own consciousness. This consciousness is vacuous, unborn, and unceasing. Hey, I think I heard this. All substances are part of my own consciousness. This consciousness is vacuous, unborn, and unceasing. I did hear this. Thus meditating, allow the mind to rest in the uncreated state. Like the pouring of water into water. Oh, I got a tinkle. The mind should be allowed its own easy mental posture. In its natural, unmodified condition, clear and vibrant. Well, what should I do? By maintaining this relaxed, uncreated state of mind, rebirth into routine game reality is sure to be prevented. Okay. Meditate on this until you are certainly free. I want to be free. I got to be me.
Oh, and they've got to be the funky bardos. Who else could it be but those wacky, funky bardos? And yes, you have to be careful about re-entry into the regular, normal, mundane Earth plane, because there's another level of hell called West Heck, which we will tell you about on side 2 of show in just one tape flipping moment, if you know what I mean. Yeah. my friends, there is a particularly insidious section of hell called West Heck. Philo Drummond is an expert on West Heck. Many lost souls are in heck without knowing it. It's a polite hell, a genteel hell. They don't even tell you you're in heck. You could easily be living in heck on earth and think it was perfectly normal. You still have to work a horrible day job, to spend your whole eternity working a dull, pointless job that doesn't mean a damn thing except money to pay for slightly less pain. There's a special section of hell for each earthly profession in which one might fail, including yours. The only difference is that this time it's eternal torment. And you're not trying to satisfy paying customers, but paid demons. Only after toiling for a week that lasts 1,000 years do you earn the right to relax and go out on a date. But then you're faced with sex in hell, which is a living nightmare. Because in hell, you're judged by your looks. If your looks don't conform to Miss Hell Foldout of 1996, well, you're going to have trouble getting dates. And in hell, you get old, you age, your skin sags as the years go by, and you're compelled to wear elaborate hairdos and makeup. And on top of that, the demons make such a big deal out of sex, both pro and con, and half the time you're so uptight about doing everything correctly, can't get your rocks off. You go to all that trouble for kind of halfway climax. Wouldn't you hate to live in a world like that? Wouldn't you do anything to get to heaven, even kill yourself? But see, that's the difference. In hell, you don't know if there's an afterlife, so you don't dare kill yourself. In heaven, you know for sure that you're already in it, so you don't have to kill yourself. Now, there is a hell you can retire from, but there's also one where they tell you you'll retire at age 50, but you always get killed there just before your 50th birthday and end up wading even deeper into the lake of fire. Oh, you'll find out. You're gonna find out, friend. There ain't no water down there. Ain't no water down there. You can't get a drink, and you can't put out that fire. There's never quite enough church air to breathe. Oh, you take that church air for granted now. You may not even know about it. But wait till it's gone, little Bobby. You can never win. It's like playing against a computer. It can't lose. It can't lose. In fact, in one hell, in the tick hell, you're like a little character in a video game, forced to eternally machine gun the endless stream of ticks crawling out at you from behind cactuses in a blistering desert. And when the ticks die, they excrete a cactus and another tick. Well, you can kill lots of ticks. Yeah, you can score real high. You can keep earning lifetimes. But sooner or later, they're going to get you. They creep up on you. They creep up on you, boy. It's just like here on Earth. And to top it off, there is reincarnation. There is reincarnation, friends. Once you're in hell, oh yeah, you'll have plenty of lives in hell.
Facts about the before life. SubGenius rebirth. You were, will be there. Intense scrutiny of the GNU Gnarnesis, or the SubGenius Book of the Living Dead, has been underway for the past 12 years. Church doctors in the Dobbstown vaults have nearly completed their translation of this most holy book in the Yeti Vita trilogy. These self-same doctors inform us that many passages of this work are directly attributable to the brave and enlightened Atlanteans. Longtime subscribers to the Stark Fist will recall our last report on this uber-sacred tomb tome about 6 years ago, number 22, volume 17, when we published Partying After Death by Dr. Siddhartha Catharsis. As you will know, SubGenius souls, or mental essences, are volatile, brightly colored, and usually very fast when they care to be. They go where they want and are hard for others to control. Souls of normals, however, are bland-looking, pill-like beings. Although in life, subs and norms are almost indistinguishable, after death, this is a hard mistake to make. When a subgenius dies, the nantessence bursts from its meat prison. Its massless seed careens in a pan-galactic journey, lasting but a moment of our time. It usually returns once to make sure it's really dead before moving on to the before life. Due to a 10,000-year disinformation campaign by the con, a jaded stereotype of heaven and hell is being pushed by the false churches. In fact, there is little difference between the two. Subgenia often commute between heaven and hell. Interestingly, heaven is hotter than hell. The 7 suns which heat heaven make it many times hotter than the molten gaseous temperature thresholds of brimstone. When a subgenius decides to live again, she is not alone. Each subgenius has a mental life twin on the media plane. This is a revelation of the power of the subgenius. Subgenius spiritual mastery is not maintained without struggle. The subgenius must be vigilant and must hone his abnormality. He must hide the church. Otherwise, the quintessence loses its spark, and then subgenius degenerates and dies normal. This is a death worse than any fate. When a normal dies, it exhausts all of its puny strength in a vain effort to hover near the body it squandered. The pale, shell-like entity soon is carried away by wind or other forces. Being lighter than air, the pink, although they may be bland versions of other colors, the pink soul drifts aimlessly. Although pinkster souls, also known as plugs, do tend to cluster. The plugs are gathered up by cosmic agents, usually representing Jehovah One, who has the largest franchise in this area. The plugs are sprinkled into vats. The vats have an energy source which melts the plug shells, making them bond together. As new plugs continue to collect above, the norm soul's shapes and colors blend until they resemble a lumpy stew. Ultimately, the plugs form a clear slurry which drains from the vat. This plasma can be used to form new souls, souls who have a chance to become new subgenia. However, the plasma is also formed during sex, and the slur plus is often sold as a spaceship fuel additive. These henchmen are known to have been styled in such a vat by agents for their master. The vats themselves are said to be relics left by the elder gods, forged for unguessed motives. Thus, normals cannot be said to have led past lives. It was just normal. I'm Pastor Bucknaked. You can write to me at Post Office Box 140026, Dallas, Texas 75214. Send $1 and I'll send you a package of wild stuff and my catalog.
friends, the Devos, as I like to call those terrible boys. God, I actually had not meant to play that song, but the thing that I did have queued up was something mysterious happened to it. But that's okay, friends, because you know what? Well, no wonder this thing's not turning on when I hit it. Power's off. There we go. Ah, yes. You know, because Bob's been to hell. The elder gods were jealous of Bob's slack, for they have no bodies, and thus cannot know the true squirt. And so they sent Bob to hell and stole his squirt. Now think of it. Dobbs in the Christian hell, pursued endlessly by demons, making him relearn the concept of pain, which he had forgotten in his great slackfulness, while bastard gods like Wotan usurped the sexual spiritual orgasm from which they had disconnected his astral senses. It's enough to make you want to do something about it. But like what? What are you going to do? Shoot a shotgun up at the sky or into the deepest mine shaft you can find? All the gods in the universe all joined together, and a mighty legion of doom have been unable to defeat the devil. And we say, here's what we say, thank God for Satan. For it's through his success that Bob's word receives press. You see, as powerful as the devil is, he cannot defeat Bob. He cannot defeat that man, Bob. Bob has repeatedly made incredible breakouts from the underworld. By coincidence, each time as he is reincarnated into short-lived life forms, such as the mayfly, the brine shrimp, and a turkey just before Thanksgiving. At one point, it came back as a baboon's heart. Thus, he was quickly caught again by that devil and sentenced even deeper into hell with each recapture. He has become very familiar with hell's many circles and levels and trapdoors, escape hatches. And while he's been there, Bob's made a few changes. He's going to bring some measure of democracy to hell. He will, shall we say, Americanize hell. Most of the souls down there were born before there was an America. They're more than ready for blue jeans, hot cars, and radios. For in some parts of hell, there is not even rock and roll. But although you can escape from hell, especially Bob can escape from hell, there is no escape from heaven. And we're going to talk about the caves and flames of the Christian heaven. Although you can escape hell. Well, I just said that. See, I'm editing as we go along here. By the time you get to Christian heaven, said Janer Hypercleats, you'll be wishing to God you'd made it to SubGenius hell. The Christian heaven is only the next rung up the ladder of afterlives, and it's also reserved for Christians. It consists of an absence of pain and of pleasure. You see, friends, you're damned if you do and damned if you don't. All the obedient souls belong to God and get eternal slavery in heaven. And everybody else burns in hell forever and ever. Now, we don't buy that. I'm sorry. Church and SubGenius, we just don't buy that. As if making you a work slave all your life wasn't bad enough, they want to keep you enslaved in the afterlife as well. They spend all their mortal lives forcing puritanical laws down everybody's throats, and then they expect us to believe that heaven's going to be any different? That once they reach heaven, then God's suddenly going to allow his little herd of sheep to run wild? You get all the joy of the fundamentalist lifestyle. With no hope of escape, not even death. Some heaven. Little wonder Lucifer got the hell out of there. Bob believes in everyone's God-forbidden right to choose for themselves the fate of their almighty soul. Dobbs is recruiting lost souls of every creed, the billions that fell between the cracks of good and evil. The neutrals who just want for once to be left alone in the afterlife. And friends, there's plenty of quality souls frying in hell just because they didn't want to follow the goose-stepping guidelines of God. Lashed and tortured forever for no other reason than that they wanted to be free. And if freedom's a sin, pray that we're all sinners.
I was praying last night the price that you pay is worrying and fretting every second of the day. The church and the state, your God and country kind. One gets your body, the other gets your mind. Mary, Mary Magdalene, how about a date? You've been wasting your time staying up so late. Your boyfriend's dead, the word is you're a whore. Just about then I heard a knock on the door, and I realized then that the wages of sin was a bad reputation and too many friends. The wages of sin, 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 the wages of sin,
Oh, yes, friends, the Rainmakers once again performed that little piece of music, and now we must unfortunately discuss, well, it's, one might say, the scarier part of all this. You know, the soul is the one part of us that the conspiracy hungers for the most. And when you enter Wotan's bloodstream, you have to deal with his antibodies. Go into the spirit and you must deal with spirits. And with the cannibalism of souls. Some spirits, called theocrats, vampirize off other spirits and so live, quote unquote, live forever at the expense of their victims. They obtain these victims by posing as gods and persuading the religious believers to come to them voluntarily after death, thinking that they are entering eternal bliss in heaven. And by the way, this is all from a book called War in Heaven by Kyle Griffith. And he continues to say, quote, many notorious tyrants, conquerors, evil religious leaders, black magicians, and criminals have become theocrats after death, but so have some saints or benign geniuses. Power corrupts, and the prospect of achieving immortality corrupts even more. Many people with highly developed souls whose earthly lives were lived quite ethically chose to become theocrats after death. This has been especially true for people who were religiously devout, then found out the horrible truth about their gods after death. The theocrats enslave other spirits and provide psychic energy, just as slaves or employees on earth provide physical labor. The daily activities of a fundamentalist theocratic band organized in heaven are similar to a church service as such sects hold them on earth, except that they go on perpetually. The theocrat in charge poses as the Lord God Jehovah. The subordinate theocrats pose as Christ, various angels and apostles, and so forth. God quotes the same biblical passages and preaches the same sermons as preachers in the same sect do on earth, and the congregation joins in singing the same hymns. The theocratic leaders then channel this collective psychic energy. For instance, there are dead Christians who think they're in heaven, sitting around the throne of Jehovah, eternally singing his praises, when they're really just his slaves, and possibly his dinner as well. Now you understand the real significance of Holy Communion. Oh, yeah.
Young lady, because you have never accepted Jesus Christ as your Savior, you must go to hell.
Oh, please. I don't want to go to hell. Why, I'm only 14 years old. I'm too young. I never even had a chance to be a Christian. But I'd like to be saved. Couldn't I become a Christian now?
No, child. It is too late.
But you wouldn't send a person to hell who never had a chance, would you?
But you had an opportunity when you were 7 years old. June 2nd, 1968.
Whether you're too young, whether you're older, you have plenty of time.
But you saw how my parents wouldn't let me go. It's their fault that I'm lost. It's their fault. Why wouldn't you let me go?
There were other times that I have dealt with you, but you would have none of it.
When was it that you dealt with me?
December 18th, 1974.
Betty, for as long as I've known Christ, I've tried to make him real to you. When are you going to accept him and be saved? I don't know, Cindy. I don't want to hurt your feelings, but religion just isn't my thing. There's plenty of time. I'm just not interested right now. Betty, one of these days you're going to stand before God, and you'll wish 1,000 times you had taken the chance to accept him, but it'll be too late.
No, child. You are lost, and there is no place found for you except the lake of fire, prepared for the devil and his angels. Take her away.
No, I'm too young. I don't want to go. Mama! Daddy! Help me!
Evil! The evil! The evil! Feeling! Why I believe that is because I know...
SubGenius hell. It's a cold kind of hell. Cold in here. Wish I could light this here pipe. They gave me all the frappy in the world, and it's too cold to light this pipe. Oh, Bob, where are you now? Why'd you leave me in the hands of me?
However, Bob will offer you eternal salvation or triple your money back. Which unfortunately gives some the image in their minds of Bob standing at the gates of hell handing out $60 checks.
Well, that's real funny. I hope you boys are having a good time. I bet you thought this old church thing of yours is going to be big fun, big barrel of laughs. Oh, yeah, I bet you thought you were going to be some kind of high school lawyer with that Bob fellow of yours. Well, you're looking at a pretty damn long eternity. Oh, by the way, here's that triple your money back. It's, what, $60? One for you, Smith, one for you, Jones. And don't let this deter you from doing business with us again.
You're listening to the SubGenius Radio Ministry Hour of Slack. For free information on Bob Dobbs and the Church of the SubGenius, send a self-addressed stamped envelope to, got your pencil ready? Bob.
Post Office Box 807, Glen Rose, Texas 76043.
That's Bob.
Box 807, Glen Rose, Texas 76043.
Stay tuned and praise Bob. she says she'd almost rather see me in Tevis than in nothing at all. Bright, perky, almost psychedelic. The Tevis line of fine men's undergarments. Underwear you'll never change. Sweet talk me all you want, but you'll never get me out of my Tevis.
Obscenity and vulgarity of rock and roll music is obviously a means by which the white man, his children, can be driven to the level with a nigger.
If you talk to the average teenager of today, if you talk to the average teenager of today and you ask them what it is, if you talk to the average teenager of today and you ask them what it is,
The obscenity.
if you talk to the average teenager of today and you ask them what it is about rock and roll music that they like, if you talk to the average teenager of today and you ask them what it is about rock and roll music that they like, the first thing they'll say is the beat, the beat, the beat. Why I believe that is because I know how it feels when you sing it. I know what it does to you. The evil feeling that you feel when you sing it. Why I believe that is because I know how it feels. The evil feeling that you feel when you sing it. I know the lost position that you get into, the beat. Well, if you talk to the average teenager of today and you ask them what it is about rock and roll music that they like, the evil feeling that you feel when you sing it. If you talk to the average teenager of today, if you talk to the average teenager of today,
See? Oh, yes, man. It's a cultivation of a thought form. Yes. Yeah. They have a hypnotization thing to the fest.
Oh, to be sure. And strange. You know, that's interesting because, that's really interesting.
Yes. Give them false pride, false ego, false negativity, false power, false kick, and then you destroy them.
So it wouldn't matter what they would endeavor to do, it would go all wrong.
Yes.
The SubGenius
And if they personally are not, they have in their employ those who are.
From PR News in Washington, I'm placed on administrative leave by sex priests after a Supreme pro-sex leader was killed in an apparent sex blast yesterday. But Israel is praising the move. The Kremlin says to end PR News in Washington.
Oh, dear God. You see, my name's Billy, and I just won King of the Ring, but there's one problem. Everybody still thinks that I absolutely suck. And then at that point, Billy, your house started to shake, the heavens opened up, and God himself spoke to you and said this, Bob, but my name's Billy. It doesn't matter what your name is.
Yes. And our background music for the credits here will be Cyber Chump from their CD, Their Moment of Perfect Happiness. And, yes, this is the Hour of Slack once again. And we're going to be hearing rants from different people. and new music from things or people. Let's start with Onan Canobite, Dr. Father Uncle Onan Canobite, who in some ways is kind of like my co-speechwriter. I use his stuff. I was about to say I use him, but I don't like to think of it that way. Or we use each other. Anyway, here is Onan Canobite, and this is happening.
She asked if I had anything further to say, and now, a few years later, the answer is yes. This is happening right now. The Church of the SubGenius, as orchestrated by the SubGenius Foundation and visible at SubGenius.com, is an ongoing concern. There was a good party going on in 1915 at the Cabaret Voltaire in Zurich, but you didn't go. The fun moved to Paris in 1920, and you dilly-dallied around until it was over. Paris hosted a fine situation in 1957, but you let it drift away. You could have stayed right where you are now and had an experience with the hippies in the 60s, but you sat it out, just like you sat out the punks of the 1970s. Tell yourself you weren't born yet or were just an infant, if that makes you feel better. The point is, this is happening right now. The Church of the SubGenius, as orchestrated by the SubGenius Foundation and visible at SubGenius.com, is an ongoing concern, and by consternation, you had best not be the last mutant on the bust. The Church of the SubGenius is something that you can take or leave a DNA sample of. Some invisible monster that lives in the sky saw fit to give you a unique thumbprint, and now you have a blackberry pie you can stick it in. You can go to a SubGenius event. You can put one on yourself. You can meet or avoid every SubGenius walking this planet. You might come up with the next good joke that you hear some other SubGenius tell you back someday. Or you might be a frog watcher off to the side, but a frog watcher that showed up nonetheless. When you see the saucers leave this planet, and that one SubGenius you were too shy to talk to or punch in the snout has their face mashed up against the window and is giving you the bird, will you be saying, "Gosh, I blew it again"? Or will you be that SubGenius? Why not both?
Oh, yes, my friends. This has been one long month, or 4. Yeah, we missed a show last week. The broadcast stations will get them normally, but the internet listeners didn't get last week's fix. So I'm whipping out 2 right now, right this very second, to catch up. This one's number 1699. And next we round the corner for show number 1700. Nice round number. Bob granted us slack, so that's all okay as far as the hour of slack schedule goes. My own schedule has been messed up. Not nearly as messed up as some of my friends and families' schedules. Theirs just got simply terminated. People keep dying or getting real sick and threatening to die. SubGeniuses dying. Think of that. Boarding the escape saucers of the exorcists way before the rest of us. It's not fair, but as my little sister says a lot, fair's where you take your pig and hope to win a prize. Speaking of which, my incarcerated sister unexpectedly got some good news. She was offered a plea by the DA and took it. And long story short, we'll have her back from state prison after only about 2 years. That was actually the best we had dared to hope for. The Texas justice system was actually both smart and merciful in this case. For you see, my sister's daughter, my late niece Claire, was dying of a truly horrible disease called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. And no, you haven't heard of it, that's correct. It's pretty rare, and sometimes all it does is make people hypermobile, that is, extremely limber and double-jointed. Other times, what it does is cause all the connective tissue in your body to slowly just sort of dissolve. That includes your skin, your joints, the membranes that hold your guts in place, the stuff that keeps your arms and legs in their sockets, and your ribs from coming loose and poking holes in your organs. My niece had all of that. She was literally falling apart. Just rolling over in bed wrong could send her to the emergency room. She was also in non-stop pain, from merely very painful to unthinkably painful. There is no cure. She was only 27 years old and could no longer drive or even walk very far, and she just wanted to die. I mean, she really wanted to die, but she was scared of doing it wrong, and she didn't want to know when it was coming. So my sister essentially sacrificed herself to make her daughter's wish come true. And yes, friends, I know that there are states like the ones on the far west coast where the health system actually helps you. If I'd known then what I know now, I would have cashed in my savings a year ago and said, here, move to Washington State where you won't be penalized for being ill and poor. She could have gotten life in prison. Instead, the state took the trouble of looking into what went down and mercifully gave her the minimum sentence for ending her daughter's pain. Since early July, I've been visiting my sister in the local jail every visitation period, 3 times a week. Soon, she'll be transferred to state prison, and I'll be able to pick up where I left off, which was trying to finish emptying and fixing up our old house in Cleveland so we can sell it and stop going deeper and deeper and deeper into debt. And the dogs and I will finally be reunited with my wife, Princess Wee, and our mom, Wee Mama, who both had to stay in Ohio while I went back to Texas. So, yeah, that's right. This is the show called The Hour of Slack, and I guess this hasn't been all that slack-inducing so far. It gets worse. 1 month ago today, on October 12th, our very good friend in Ohio, Reverend human street name David Lair, suddenly died in his sleep of obstructive pulmonary disease. That one was a shock. He knew he was sick, but the doctors thought he'd be getting better. Once again, he was one of the nicest, sanest, smartest, and in fact, strongest guys any of us knew. For instance, he fed everybody at the last dozen or so X-Day drills, just as a for instance. Not counting all the repairs he did to the homes of non-handy subgeniuses like me. He was part of the small gang of old Cleveland area subgeniuses that used to meet every week or so for dinner or movies or the Greek Festival or X-Day, along with Mr. Sister and Son and the Nostrils and Her Highness Hellno and Dr. Dark. Well, Dr. Dark boarded the saucers a few months earlier after a long fight with just about every kind of cancer. And we did a show about him. In between those two deaths, Reverend Ann Atrocity died in a horrible accident, murdered by arson by a schizophrenic loved one. And that was a case where the mental health system ignored all the warnings she tried to give him until the worst happened. So thanks, Ronald Reagan administration, for gutting the loony bins back in the 80s and keeping the sick out on the street. And everybody since then who's been beating back social services so that big companies can make bigger money. Welcome to modern, advanced, futuristic America. And I spent last week in Seattle visiting my old pal, Dr. Legume. Now, if anybody can beat cancer of the stomach and spine, it's him. But it's possible that nobody can. He's still grinning and making the sickest jokes through the unimaginable pain. But those grins are not normal grins. They're savage-looking grins that keep him from screaming, I guess. I'm pretty sure I wouldn't have lasted anywhere near this long. It's true that in 1995, due to some serious conclusion jumping, everybody thought Legume had died in a highway accident back then. And there was even a wake in Cleveland for him, at which I got to say, if there really was a Bob, Legume would still be alive, which was his cue to emerge from a closet, lift me off the floor by my lapels, and bellow, next time, you better poke me with a stick before you decide I'm dead. So, some people have been sheepishly asking me if this isn't just another sick hoax. It ain't. So friends, next time you get a chance to tell a friend or loved one that you love them, go ahead and do so. It might be the last chance. As Lonesome Cowboy Dave's friend, Psycho Pathfinder, put it, maybe we should treat our friends more like they're already dead. So, friend, if you're the kind of Hour of Slack listener that's a friend of mine, I love you, man, or woman, or whatever. Thanks for all the slack you've given me. So, okay, the morose part is done. Subgeniuses have been sending in lots of cool music and collages and doing their own podcasts, and that SubGenius documentary movie did in fact get finished and is in fact being entered in film festivals, and everything I've heard that I'm not supposed to know yet tells me that it's really good and that we'll be glad it's out there. And Lonesome Cowboy Dave will be calling in soon. Oh, and friends, if my voice sounds all cracky and hoarse, it's not because I'm dying. I just have a cold with a nagging cough. And the cough is what's got me sounding cracky. So, let there be Slacky.
I'm looking up again.
Wearing his
thing called love. I'm not quite sure as to what is going down.
And it feels so good.
You are risking your life.
It was only later that I knew he'd murdered almost 1 million people.
Know what I'm saying? Show enough. Yo, it's a wonderful world, and yeah, I'm living.
What can I say? I'm a liberated male. I may have something for you.
What is going on here?
I'm on my grind, baby, cause I want the life, the golden child. I want the knife.
And I think that that's the part of the song that really tells all.
I just might stop to
Come on out, dance.
Excuse me. Which do you think would be the more exciting, the more sadomasochistic?
Look, I know it is a strange request, but I need to get up that mountain to the equipment. There's valuable information up there.
With all due respect, sir, Dr. Oscar Valian is the leading authority on
the stuff that stops your heart.
I think you got Tourette's. And yo, we stay honest. Won't make a fake promise. Pay homage to truth and never stray from it. I'm inside my lab, stabbing rounds, no black hole pirates.
I'm trying to chill though, even though situation looking kinda ill, yo. It came to me like a song I wrote.
I'm very susceptible to peer pressure.
Right. We've been getting collages from a person named Silas Jansen, I think. And sometimes I rearrange them a little bit, sometimes I shorten them, and sometimes I don't do anything. But we also got a song from, this is a new contributor, Slim Reaper. Slim Reaper, doing a hip-hop or rap type style with this song called Pusher.
You've been so good today that now we're going to watch a cartoon.
I'll be your guide on this trip through reality. And on this trip, I can make you see anything I want you to see. I am your always until the movie ends. Right now, we're looking in a mirror. Now watch this. See what I can do? And how about this? I can show you everything. You have no choice. You may even see things you can't stand to see. Or I may show you lies which you will call truth. So remember, this is not your story. And you aren't in it. I am telling it to you.
Hit the mic like it's stress weed. I spit the spite, don't test me. Impress fiends when I bust out the next thing. Goal is to roll, fingers shift like I'm texting. Linger and lift, chug another fifth. Fallen cannabis abyss, what bliss. No more indifference if you hit this. Makes me miss ignorance, reminisce on tolerance. But true relief is to holler riffs. Little sis said flow, tired of this. Still I blow, hot as shit. Exhale rap to keep my lungs slick. Like whoa, that pale chap just sung Rick. I'm like laddie daddy, here to fuck up the party. Armed with Bacardi, they didn't even card me. Broken, empty, but smartly shard free. Don't let me start heat, cause it darts to the heart when I spark a beat. I'm the pusher turned shover, homie shout truth that. Kick a freestyle, did you know we could do that? Bitch, I bring back the boom bap and put the city of Jerusalem on the map. Spit smoke, spit rhythm, spit fire and indecision. Spit spiteful inhibition, spit phlegm when they say pay tuition. I spit like it's a fucking addiction, and pen's the drug you're picking. Spit out medication, get a dose of dedication. No vacation, I can't relax. Spit with 2 feet on the gas, leave the soul in the booth. Try to spit truth for the youth. Like friends come and go, but fiends will never let you go. Call me up just to holler, yo. סלח לי אחי, יודע שנהיית סחי, אבל כבר לא אכפת לי, אז בוא ניפגש. Oh, thanks for asking. And yourself? I guess I need you to entertain me, cause lately I've been stir crazy. Bumping juicy till I get loopy with disordered fantasies. Plus music all I got since I aborted Hennessy. Caught menacing, saying school is where you better be. My temper heats, cause I've never been stung by a deader bee. Shit, I guess it's rest in peace to the peaceful me. I'm the pusher turned shover, homie shout true that. Kick a freestyle, did you know we could do that? Bitch, I bring back the boom bap and put the city of Jerusalem on the map. I'm the pusher turned shover, homie shout true that. Kick a freestyle, did you know we could do that? Bitch, I bring back the boom bap and put the city of
city of Jerusalem on the map.
You can look up that song and performer. Slim Reaper is the performer. Pusher is the name of the song. Just Google that. I'm sure it'll pop up like this did.
Bob. 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 Bob.
It takes more than intellect to be a musician.
The machine gave me my penny back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Oh, okay. I've got a rant here. It's not by me, it's by Onan. Dr. Onan Canobite remembered. Today, he says, I remembered. I don't have to keep up with current events that I cannot influence in any way, much less resolve. Phew! It's nice to put down and walk away from all that anxiety and anger. I've got enough self-generated anxiety and anger. I don't need anybody else's. And I sure don't need the conspiracy's anxiety and anger. All kinds of bad things and sad things are happening in the world, and even right down the street. And there's not a thing I can do about them. Nothing. Not even stay informed or quote-unquote spread awareness. And those things I can do something about, well, I am doing them and usually not telling anybody. The telling anybody part, that's not worked out so well. Hey, I'm doing this good thing. Yeah, but it's not that other good thing or enough of that good thing itself. You don't have to remember what I remembered today, but you do have to remember. Remember you're a subgenius. Remember this planet is Mars. Remember, you are not just different, but better than most people. Remember to send $1. Remember that last one often. Remember the people who got you down that one time, they're suffering too. Not so you can forgive them, but so you can gloat and bask in your effort-free revenge. Remember, you will die, and not too long from now. Remember that Bob has probably forgotten you already, but some important, funny, old-time subgenii think your thing was pretty great, and they want you to have slack. Do you demand proof? Then know that the anagram for subgenius remember is Gibber Sneer Museum. And those were the words of Reverend Dr. Uncle Onan Canobite. And now this. And I guess now it's time to call Dave. We'll put up the magical background music. This is Cyber Chump, which is part of the band Exposed Foreheads with our friend Mark G.E. and Jim Skeel. And this is a CD called Sankhara. It's pretty, and it won't bother us, I hope. So, we'll call the Daveman. Come in, Dave. Come in, Lonesome Cowboy Dave. End your lonesomeness by picking up the phone. Come, Dave, come. Well, approach, Dave, approach.
Call me right back.
Oh,
in
very good.
3.5 minutes. 3.5 minutes.
Yeah, I'm a little late.
Okay.
It's okay, Dave. But see, that's because of time control and,
See, 3.5 minutes, man.
What?
It's only 3.5
Speak up, Dave. Don't make me slap you. Speak up.
Well, why would you want to slap me anyway? Don't you?
For mumbling.
Oh, okay.
But there's listeners.
Yeah, right.
They can't read your mind.
About that.
They can't read at all.
So what's this Whistler, this monogram idiot's name?
I don't know. That's why they listen to the radio. They can't read your mind. They can only hear your mouth. So you have to wake that mouth up, make it enunciate and dict. Get your diction going.
Yeah.
You don't want to be an undict person. Be a diction person. Yeah.
I just wondered if you didn't stand up for the right things, the right religious causes and artifacture, you might wear a dental brace or something.
Oh, hell, I died for the right religious causes.
Well, I have to go close the window. I'll be back in 3.5.
Okay.
I'll be right back.
I knew that they would, I knew that it was the right religious cause because I was resurrected again. But you can't bank on that. Oh, man. You definitely can't bank on that. I've had to keep reminding myself that, well, yeah, sure, my friend is probably dying, but what isn't? That kind of goes with existing. Even inanimate objects shrivel up and get turned back into atoms. And dinosaur pee, as the idiots like to say. I just said it, so there you go. It must prove I'm an idiot. But we prefer the term SubGenius. It's just somehow more polite. And it sure beats the R word. I don't even remember what that one is. I guess that means I are one. That must be what the R word means. I are one. I wonder if Dave's really going to shut a window, or if that was just like some sort of a polite way of saying he really had to go to the bathroom.
Are you talking to me?
No, I was talking to them. I didn't know you were back. Did you have a good window closing?
Yeah, I closed the window of opportunity on a lot of things in the last few 100,000 years. And they explain the reason why you stole all the artifacts.
Dave, speak up. Remember, I'm deaf. Ish.
I remember, that's why, but I don't want to yell. I might miss a button and close your head.
Well, I don't want you to miss the button and close my head, or whatever you just said. Well, I've got it turned up as loud as it'll go, man. And I've got my earplugs in, my earmuff on. Oh no, I'm supposed to have hearing aids and headphones.
Right.
Good, I messed up. Oh, hold on, I've got to go close the window for 3.5 minutes.
Okay.
Okay, I'm back.
That took a long time, man.
Yeah.
I was starting to cry. I was thinking about all the spoiled onions, all the bad burgers we've had to make over the past few thousand years. I don't know if I even...
Dave, when you're crying, I can't understand the words. I don't get the lyrics when you're weeping.
Like, be more masculine.
Yeah.
Assert those lyrics. I was wondering if you were to point your suppository at the average, at college radio station or alternative station in a small building somewhere in a small town or a large town, you might find these people trying to totally reconfigure their personalities and become different humans than they are.
A few, yeah. I've been in most of those college stations at one point or another.
No, I'm just so intrigued by that idea after it was already reproduced and presented to me.
Which idea was that again?
That if you point the suppository in the right direction of your local neighborhood college or alternative radio station, you will get the deep impressions from outer space.
Right. You don't want to put it in sideways.
No.
You could, but why? It's a lipstick tube
each
shaped
direction has
thing.
a function. Yeah.
Speaking of suppositories, Dave, I was in Seattle last week visiting the ailing Dr. Legume, and they legalized that marijuana stuff there. I mean, totally, anybody can buy it. Anybody over 21, they card.
Like Canada or Colorado type places.
Well, in some of those places, it's medical only, and they're and you can only get so much per day, and you have to have a license. But no, in Seattle, 5 minutes after they picked me up at the airport, they stopped for painkillers, and I was looking at a little box on the counter of cannabis suppositories. Not a joke.
They sound delicious.
And get this, the brand name, Rectify. Rectify. The cannabis suppositories. And I thought, well, I've seen everything now. I must be on the escape vessels of the sex goddesses. Must be X-Day, because I can't believe I'm seeing a store like this in the United States.
I thought you gave it a little try, just to see, to know what the enemy knows, or not the enemy, the archangels and the aardvarks.
Oh no, I've got what me? Are you kidding? Yeah. Do I look like somebody who would try marijuana?
No, not try marijuana. But you made me forget what I was saying. But it was not like when Robert De Niro called the president a warthog or salesman or anything.
No.
It was something different than that, because there's only 3 perfunctory interesting stories to think about, and they're all dead.
But there's been a lot of that going around.
Yeah.
Hey, did I speaking of marijuana suppositories?
Yeah.
Did I tell you about what happened to the 2 dogs of a friend of mine? He had gotten a package from another friend in one of those states, Colorado in this case, I think. It was cookies, yummy, buttery cookies. Thank goodness they weren't chocolate, because even though they were sealed up in a freezer bag, and that bag was inside a wooden box that had a latch on it on a high shelf. Dog number 1, my friend's dog, apparently smelled the cookies in there and pulled the thing down. It broke open, and he ate all of the cookies. And my friend said there were about 50 of them. It was a stuffed gallon freezer bag full of them. And they were so strong that he never took them unless he needed something to knock him out, because he was having trouble sleeping. Well, he didn't know what had happened until he noticed his dog standing with a really unusual posture, swaying with his 4 legs splayed as far apart from each other as possible without just flopping down to the belly. And he was just swaying and staring. And my friend thought, oh my God, he's been poisoned. He must have eaten a toad. That was his first thought. He didn't just mouth it.
That would have been my first thought, especially every time we speak together.
Well, he ran down. He went down to the next room and saw the box that had and 1 cookie left in the bag, and the bag torn open. And he went, oh my God. Well, he ran back. The dog had puked in the corner, and he thought, oh my God, that's good. Oh, good, the dog puked. And the dog still, he was dosed. He was swaying around. So my friend goes, oh man, I better clean up that puke before the other dog comes and eats it. Too late. The other dog just gobbled up that puked up marijuana cookie bulk. It was looked like it was a huge amount. Well, so then that dog had to start having twitches and falling down, and puked, thank goodness. And my friend got on the internet and got his friends to all get on the internet to figure out what do we do, because this was like in the middle of the night. It would have cost $1,000 to get a vet out of bed, and they couldn't find a single. Apparently, this is like an epidemic that's been going on in Washington State and Colorado and other places where you'll find a lot of these cookies sitting out on the breakfast room table, mayhap. And a lot of dogs have overdosed in the last couple of years, but none of them died. We could not find a single example of a dog dying. Now, my friend said that the next morning, the dogs were a little woozy, but by that afternoon, they were rollicking and romping in the yard. But then the day after that, they started a punk band, and the female burned her bra, and the male burned his draft card, and they started being sassy to him.
Well, that's always what happens, especially if you're from the osteopathic fraternity or one of the other associations devoted to the liquidation of mankind. This is the important thing we got to remember. This
was more like the liquidation of dog kind.
Well, yeah, that's starting with dogs.
I wonder what the guy did with the second time puked puke, because that would be like 50 hits.
Think about how lucky that dog was too, though. Not only was it buttery cookies, it was puke.
Well, you know, as the famous internet meme dog that I saw once, looking noble by a beach, had the caption that said, "'Tis better to have eaten than puked than eaten the puke than it is to never have puked at all."
See these doorside dams, these darling Republicans, calumny, as they call it. Anyway, not calumny per se. I know that's.
Now, see, if that dog had installed in its neck one of those diverter inventions that I invented. Well, I thought of it. I haven't made one yet. But where you can eat all the ice cream you want, but when you swallow it, it is diverted away from your stomach and into a little sack that's strapped to your side. It goes right past where you swallow and then out into the sack, so that you can, keep your ice cream and re-eat it later, or sell it, or give it to the poor.
That's where we stand, at least religiously, isn't it, Stang? We should give our unstrapped vehicles to the poor.
Right. I mean, you'd eat a salad and swallow that down into your stomach, and then you could eat all the candy and cake and ice cream and marijuana cookies you wanted, and divert them into a sack. Although, I guess you would. Yeah. I guess you wouldn't want to do that with drugs, because.
Well, maybe you might want to anyway. I was just thinking if it would bring back any kind of like medieval times, where like town criers would go from one village to the next one. They'd be like saying, "Send us your bags into your oatmeal."
Well, now I'm thinking, I'm hoping that my friend put his re-puked marijuana cookie puke in the freezer, and then he could pull it out and cut off a slice now and then, and offer it to friends. If they didn't know what it was, they'd go, "Well, what is this?" "Oh, well, this is the latest thing the kids are doing. It's a tincture. It's a India Pale puke. Cookie vomit. Candy. Yeah. It's supposed to taste sort of like bile from a dog's stomach, mixed with sugar and butter and whatever
dogs like at the moment. They're sometimes very strange, hard to rediculate, to mount up now and be as pompous as they are. Some of them, you can see it in their eyes and their ears. I would never want to be one of them kind of dogs.
Well, friends, don't leave your edible medicals out where the dog can get to them because it's really, as much as you might think, oh boy, he's going to be tripping. It's going to be great. He'll love it. No, it doesn't have the same effect on dogs as it does on people or even subgeniuses.
Right. And remember, giants and children and grandparents especially, that once you've consumed... Did you make that sound to mock me?
No, I didn't make any sound. That's the thing in your head. Or your tooth.
Made like a fart sound? You know, or like a discrete inflation sound?
It wasn't me. It was the dog. It was the dog.
Well, everybody blames the same dog for the same mistakes. And none of us ever win the race.
It was Bob. It wasn't me or the dog. It was Bob. Bob farted.
That's what I call that's salvation to me. To be able to look over your shoulder and see that smiling face and just think, that's where it comes from, that's where it's going back to anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, he can expel gas and then suck it back in and then expel it again from either opening. Yeah. That's how much control Bob has over his body, like an Indian fakir, or a daddy fakir or a mother fakir. In India.
All a bunch of fakirs.
Yeah, it's not to be confused with fakir news, which is not the most trustworthy.
Right, it's shoveled out like on a pancake with a snow shovel on the side.
Right, they tell it's
waiting for the skunks to come out from under the bushes. It's one of those irritable vegetable times of there's bloatage. Some people experience vast amounts of bloatage. Other people experience panic and anxiety, but they think it might be from something else nearby, like loud vehicle sounds, you know, like the poppings and the moanings of the great ships of the Northwest, you know. So it's pretty hard to figure out. So,
Dave, did you eat your dog's medical cookies?
Yes, I did. I was just going to say that don't leave those gummy bears out where Grandpa didn't get them. You know how those older people like gummy bears?
Oh, yeah. You know, it doesn't always make their dementias any better. Sometimes it kind of multiplies it.
Yeah.
I'm sad to say I've seen that happen. No, not me. I wasn't looking in the mirror when that happened. No.
Oh, no, that's for sure. What did you discover looking in the mirror?
Let's not talk about it.
Please.
We did a show like 2 shows ago where we just talked the whole hour. It didn't even have any music or anything in it to speak of, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one of our regular listeners said the name of that episode should be Stang and Dave Are Old.
Why were you bringing before the foreskin that the neutral thoughts containing the capacitor don't match up to the gray thoughts? I mean, you know, we've all walked down that street and came back blubbering and crying.
Yeah.
Why didn't she let me? I wasn't going to eat her panties or anything. I was just going to, go look at them. I just, everybody's different. Somewhere or another.
Yeah, that's what they all tell the judge. Yeah, well, everybody, come on, Judge. Everybody's different. Different strokes for different tokes.
Right, that's when the judge showed him his belly button. A true outie in every sense of the word, about 3-4 inches long, protruding from the bottom of his belt buckle out. That's the kind of grandparents that I want to invite to my marriage and wedding.
Well, anyway, we don't want to sound too old, so let's cut to something else for a change. For instance, this. Scissor space.
When you're driving 16 hours, think of Bob. When you use your mutant powers, think of Bob. When your blood is low in sugar, when you're picking out a bugger, when you shoot him with a Luger, think of Bob. fantasizing, think about. Think about. When you're using sex devices, think about. Think about. When you're walking through the woods, when you make off with the goods, when you beat up to the hoods, think about. Think about. Take your slack away. He's back. When you see a flock of birds, think about. When you just run out of words, think about. When a ring falls around your collar, when you hear a given holler, when you write checks for $1, think about. Think about. When you write to the SubGenius, think about. Think about. P.O. Box 1400306, think about. When you cast your mojo hexes, when you ride through Dallas, Texas, when you're all dyslexic, think about. Think about. Slack. He's coming to take your slack away. Gonna take it to that big bad Bob, heaven in the sky. That's right. Just send us your $1. You get a lot more for your money. Heck, $1. You get Bob. Think about, yeah, think about, well, think about Bob. Yeah, he makes us think about. Everybody's thinking about Bob. Everybody wants to think about. Yeah, well, think about Bob. Well, think about Bob. Yeah, we're thinking about Bob. Everybody's thinking about Bob.
And those were the words of Reverend Dr. Uncle Onan Canobite.
From PR News in Washington, I'm barefoot in response to a Costa Rican sex abuse and forced women's rowing and basketball at the Asian Games in Ireland last weekend.
In Costa Rica.
PR's reports
Joe Moret.
It's the first ever gold PR News.
Wow, that was really something. That thing we just played.
Well, I don't understand what you mean by something. Of course it was something, but, you know, you even said yourself in some sort of vacuous, vituperous way that wasn't yourself. That was calling that night, the night in question. You just decided to let it rip, and it ripped.
Right. And another thing we have to do is rip ourselves a new end hole so that we can end the show twice. You see,
because
once now and once for next episode. And one of these episodes is going to be a nice roundly numbered number, 1,700. We've gone from 1699 to the year of 1700 hours of slack. That's a lot of hours. I wonder how many. I should calculate later how many weeks or days or months or whatever that is.
Yeah, I start with the big numbers and whittle my way down until I got to maybe 2 times 24 or something like that.
Let's see. Maybe I could do that even while we're on the phone.
Well, when we're
I can always cut the part out where I'm fiddling around trying to find my damn calculator program on this interocitor here. Okay, 1,700 divided by 24. 70 days of slack. We can round it off to 71. Well, no, that one was a rerun, so it's been 70 days of slack since October 1985. So this is like our 33rd anniversary, or is it more like 38th anniversary? Now, see, I need a calculator for everything.
Yeah, I mean, it's still going to come up saying the same stupid things that don't make any sense or any difference.
So 70 days, that's 10 weeks.
Yeah, but if you were to divide it by 365 days per year, that would tell you how many?
2.5 months of slack. If you just sat and listened to them all at once, all day and all night, they would go on for 2.5 months.
Oh,
and at the end of that, there probably wouldn't be much left of you.
No, the wolves would come and get you, take you out to dinner.
They'd just fill you up. So, friends, that's it. That's how many. And this show, if you want to find out more about the churches, don't hang up, Dave, because we're going to do this again in half an hour. Friends, if you need to know more about the Church of the SubGenius or anything we play on this show, you can usually find it at SubGenius.com. You can also find all 1,700 shows pretty soon. I think the first 300-400 weren't digitized yet, but they're being digitized now. I left them. Eternal
beings, yeah.
Yeah, I left them with Reverend Cynic in Ohio, and he's copying them for Reverend Bachner to put online.
Yes, that makes sense. That's the way I do it.
Some of them there, and we all sound like babies. You weren't even born. I mean, you were born, but you were only born on ESO Swamp Radio and other Cleveland outlets, and all those bands you were in.
Yeah, dressed up like a little baby. How things they do for you just to take care of your relatives in East Germany.
Is that why you smelled so much like urine back then? Back in those days. I mean, I don't want to wreck your chances at a date now, but that was a long time ago. Actually, that didn't stop. Man, you had young, beautiful girls chasing you back then.
They love the smell of old man urine.
It's like goats. No wonder goats pee on their own beards. Was that what you were? But you never had a beard. What were you peeing on, Dave? Come on, what's your secret?
I did have a little goatee, not a big one, for about 3 years, which I urinated on frequently. And I used to take down, I digitized a whole library of information on the effects of smoking, rampant manure, and tree squeaking on the human beard.
Oh, by the way, this music in the background.
This is for all ethnic groups and everything. This just measured, humans as per humans as opposed to goats.
Can we find this research online?
I would Google it first, because sometimes, there's severe watchers, and there's serious kidney failure, and there's serious sailors and stuff. I don't know about any of those people. I mean, I tried to figure them out. But
I knew kidney failure. He was a hard-working but short-lived individual. Hey, this music in the background, let me give a credit here. Music in the background, the beautiful guitar music, is Brian Henke of Northern Ohio. It's an album called The Nature of Light, and I've used this music for my nature videos on my YouTube channel. and my unnatural videos as well, but mostly I use other stuff for the unnatural ones. So yeah, Brian Henke, Henke. He's got a bunch of albums like this, sound very, very beautiful. So listen to that. Can you hear that? Anything like guitar music?
It's like a buzzy sound.
Oh, okay.
Like somebody playing with through 3 levels of yeah.
Oh, you're using the hearing aid in my right ear. That's why it sounds like that. But you'll take my word for it. It sounds pretty good.
That one is for the gun anyway.
Yeah.
It's supposed to. Yeah.
Okay, so I think this is the end of that show, and that means.
I told you that I was thinking about
your style, your clothes, your hair.
What exactly are your speculations, sweetie?
Sir, I filled you in up till 1800 hours tonight.
Will you keep silent?
I can understand you feeling bad about all this, but...
My frustration is...
Where do you go?
When I do my thing, I got self-titled answers.
And what they're doing is they're going directly into the sight center of the brain and stimulating it electronically.
We make the fly girls scream in ecstasy. We rock the freshest rhymes at a party. We put all the fellas in a daze.
But in my heart I vow real thing, baby.
A new thing is taking shape.
But then you have some black people who just don't give a damn.
Well, we just run off that little bit to give you an idea of what goes on. Fred, perhaps we could just see how you do some of these trick endings of yours, could we?
Oh, I'm sorry, I'd love to, but I think any moment now we're going to run out of time.
Oh, what is...
It was in the year of 1982 that spacemen first discovered the Great Galactic Barrier. In the past 10 years, rocket travel to the moon and the nearer planets had become commonplace. And yet, the explorers refused to admit defeat. It was on June the 2nd, 1987, that the rocket Star Cloud made ready for takeoff.
Now hear this.
The SubGenius Hour of Swag.
Don't bother me for a while. I'm busy. Stupid idiot. We'll have to reintegrate the whole works. Prepare to blast off. 4, 3, 0. Fire up number 1 cyclotron. Number 1 ready. Fire up number 2. Number 2 ready. I think that's rubbish. What do you think? Oh, I think it's terrible. At least it won't be boring.
must admit that I am here again. It's supposed to, above human, the kingdom of God. Now you keep saying us. Who do you think you are? The kingdom of heaven. We're not saying that planet Earth is coming to an end. The most urgent thing that is on our mind, and you'll have to decide that for yourself. You know, intelligent human beings, what we suspect is the most urgent of those who will title this tape. Those who are trying to prepare themselves for entry. Not important to me, even though it's up to you whether you believe that or not. That's with us. Into the evolutionary level. We're going to talk to you now, playing on the minds, trying to say it in today's language. That's a pretty major statement. Rid themselves of human behavior. It's pretty bold in terms of religion. Will connect with us. Not that it necessarily does. That can seem unattractive to you if you're really into flesh bodies. To evacuate. Looks like giant insects or slimy reptilians or eyes so big that you could fall into them. Eat things that you have to pull off the bone or then certainly teeth are not needed.
And that was the Rudy Schwartz Project. I've almost used up all the music from that particular album, Postal Code of Ham. And now let's just cut this a bunch of random stuff.
By the way, you've seen Trigger's stuffed self, haven't you, in the Roy Rogers
What is the Trigger sign, by the way? What
You never did? Oh, well, he had the taxidermist prepare his beloved mount, Trigger. You knew that, right? Roy Rogers and Trigger.
The first goat that my family had its head is mounted on the wall.
Oh, yes. He was a malfeasor. His head is mounted on the wall the way the heads of criminals were impaled on pikes outside the Tower of London.
He turned bad. He was a billy goat.
Your goat turned bad?
He was a bad
Big
goat.
Red.
Bad stuff.
Big Red, he was called.
Somehow the sickness got into him.
That sounds really obscene.
Yes,
no, he honestly did. He turned bad, and he became a rapist.
He was evil.
Big Red,
evil.
And his head ended up on the wall. There's a goat.
Let it be a lesson
bighorn,
to us all.
Some kind of sheep, a bear, a deer, and a jackalope.
An ejackalope.
Well, not an ejackalope. Hey, that's what I need for my museum. The ejackalope.
Look what now has
We're going hunting now.
Here's what it'll be. It's like there's the jackalope head, which is not very big, but it is really a jackalope head with little antlers.
You're not going to modify your father's jackalope.
We won't change that. We'll just add another little mount about an inch underneath with a little ejaculope dick sticking out.
I'll let you borrow my raccoon bone, my raccoon penis bone. That can be your jackalope.
We have
called
one.
A bacula.
Oh, actually, not a raccoon. My dad had a collection of, what are those called?
Penis bones?
Yeah, but they have this name.
Baculi.
He has a bear. Penis bone. They're like swizzle sticks, and he does have a raccoon.
Swizzle
Raccoon's
sticks.
about this long. The bear's about this long, but get this: the walrus is this long.
my
and it's
God.
got scrimshaw on it.
Scrimshaw?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
He bought a walrus dick bone with scrimshaw on it.
With the tale of Barnacle Bill the Sailor inscribed thereon.
This might be a good place to do a transition. My father...
Yes, let's change into a vampire or whatever.
It is cold up there.
I've heard that it was cold up there.
This is an indelicate story, but it does demonstrate how cold it gets. They have Quonset huts just about everywhere. That's the main thing because they're easy to keep warm. And the temperature inside is about 60. They don't let it get up more than that because it's so dry inside, it feels like you're suffocating. If the temperature got up around 70, with that dryness, it just feels terrible. Your lips get all cracked. And I said, I've got to go to the restroom, boys. Where is it? And this old sourdough said, well, he said, it's kind of foggy out there. He said, follow that yellow nylon rope. And they have ropes. There's a green one that goes to the dining hall and a red one that goes over to the offices and so forth. And then there's a yellow one that goes to this latrine. And he said, follow the yellow nylon rope. And so I went and used it. Coming back on the path, it was snow, kind of tramped down. It looked like a crystal laying there. What are you smelling?
I know what those crystals are.
I know, okay.
So I
It
lived
was
in South Dakota.
about that big around. And I picked it up and I got inside. It had frost on it. It kind of knocked the frost. It was rough. Knocked the frost, and you could look at it and tell it was kind of crystalline. And I threw it down on the table, bonk, lonk, and it rolled along. I said, what kind of mineral is that, guys? And they took one look at it, and every one of them got it and walked to the other end of the Quonset hut. And I couldn't understand what it was, and I kind of picked it up and looked at it and brushed some of that frost off of it, and you could see it kind of glimmer and shimmer inside. I knew it was a crystal. And finally, when it thawed out completely, it disappeared.
And it's probably smelled bad, right?
I don't know. It was too cold.
Frozen poot?
That's right. That's how I knew. As soon as I heard that it was green crystal, it's like, yep, up in South Dakota, in the dead of winter, you'll find those around. You don't want to bring them inside. It takes about a minute, and suddenly it all goes at once. And, geez, usually it's dogs or...
It could be
usually
about
people.
anything. It could be just about anything.
Yeah.
But it's cold when you get down to
real
that.
Cold. Yep, that was Pappy. A little bit leftover stuff from his description of his time with the Eskimos, and that's just a joke. Before that, we heard Dr. Hal and me, and I forget who else, talking about the mounted ejaculope, which I'm actually looking at right now. So you see, that's real. And now, PR News.
From PR News in Washington, I'm singer Frank Arethlander, and I'm failing to register as a foreign singer such as Jesse Clinton and Bill Jackson for the funeral services he did on behalf of Ukrainian singers such as former President Samuel Patton while working for singers tied to Paul Manafort. Manafort is set to go on trial next month on related charges of failing to sing for the Trump administration on a renegotiated North American Free Foreign Singer Agreement.
Among the obstacles, Canada wants PR News Washington.
Members didn't make much progress, and it's unclear when they'll be back. The Dow is 23, 26, 10, 30, 80, 18.
Democrats tries to racially gerrymander to dilute PR's power.
Under the rules for the hunt, fewer than 24 federal judges would have been allowed to be killed. California fire officials say you're listening to the deadly PR News from Washington.
If that was the end of that show, that means this is the beginning of this show. or not the beginning, but will probably kind of appearing after a bunch of cuts. And boy, those cuts were great. That was some great SubGenius, old-timey stuff we just heard from all those things I said. Yeah. So, and we're back.
Thinking the same different thoughts we never thought before, taking you to the edge of responsibility when it comes to your reasonable logic. Do you want to know what's really going on? Or do you just want to sit there in your contrived evil tent of self-satisfaction and cold, jammy glue and expect nothing to come walking out of the woods for you?
I think I'll take that later choice. I like that later choice. I'll take the red
pumpkin
pill.
or pear. Well, I'm in the mood for a pear, not a pumpkin. They're both vegetables. I know in the same hermeneutic Gladstone tradition, but doesn't mean they're related. I mean, you know, pumpkin pie, you could have pear pie, but a pear and a pumpkin are vastly different. Right?
Yeah, like a turd and a duckin.
Yeah, like a turd and a duck egg.
No, a duckin, you know. It's like that dish. It's just got such an unappetizing name. I don't think I ever want to try it. Then there's a really long name of like when you cook a whale that's stuffed with an elephant, that's stuffed with a horse, that's stuffed with a dog, that's stuffed with a turkey, that's stuffed with a chicken, that's stuffed with a hummingbird, that's stuffed with a spider that wriggled and jiggled and tickled inside her. And of course she died.
Right. You have to remember that part because that was after remember the intro about Benny Hoodwards and Eugene Starglick and the whole swing orchestra? Those guys were so great back in the old days before I was at least born. I wasn't quite in the universe yet, but I was hoping someday I could get a chance to go to planet Earth, spread goodwill among men and women, mostly between squirrels and other small nuts.
You mean the original planet Earth?
The original one, not the Martian one later either. I know we're all cousins, distant or foreign, one way or another, but I'm talking about, you know, some people could really call the Earth, planet Earth, their home. And we're just so rudely thrown out by Napoleon the Bonaparte.
Onan spoke of this. Onan spoke at length in the past and recently. He has had more to say about it, as we hear here. And now a disclaimer written by Onan Canabite, but it applies universally. Friends, members of the press are here tonight. I didn't bar them at the door because the Church of the SubGenius has nothing to hide. That said, there are certain false rumors and misguided opinions about our faith that I need to dispel. The SubGenius Foundation is not responsible for men or women of legal age who entirely of their own free will listen to our podcast 24 hours a day for months on end. And should these dues-paying subgenii elect to turn over all their worldly goods and the right of attorney to us, well, who are we to limit their freedom to do so? Young people who get the face of Dobbs tattooed in hidden places, such as their kidneys or lungs, do so without our consent or guidance. We've never been paid to take a fall and look foolish in the eyes of rival cults, although we do have an outstanding invoice to that effect. When our members find slack in their own definition of slack, be it romance, revenge, or even some twisted form such as employment or a lack of social isolation, we had nothing to do with it. The Church of the SubGenius does not have members in every nation, nor do we bend the ear of popes and presidents, nor do we have a hand in Hollywood. The video game industry is not largely under our control. A majority of internet traffic is not directed at SubGenius.com, and therefore, we can't be blamed for your bandwidth issues. The famous musicians and pro wrestlers and porn stars you like best may say that they're subgeniuses, but we neither confirm nor deny any such claim. Our membership list is available only to our founder, J.R. Bob Dobbs, and only for the purpose of selling it to the men from Planet X. Someone has even advanced the claim that we're a parody of a mail-order mind control cult. Is this funny to you? Is it? Is it? I hear yes and I hear no. Well, you hear this. The Church of the Subgenius is the public face of a race of superior mutants older than humankind itself. The accusations, the slanders, the mockery we endure with a chest-bursting pride. That war you didn't like wasn't caused by us, and the one you did like wasn't ended by us. We have answered every inquiry by federal, state, and local authorities promptly, including those times when the answer was silence. Likewise with our prayer partners, there is not a single documented example of a failed prayer request among our members, providing they prayed really hard and in just the right way. I hope this will satisfy the reporters in the room. Now that I have dispelled all these reservations, let me cast Dispel. Ladies and gentlemen, I am a subgenius. I stand before you innocent of life's cares and empowered to take command of any situation I survey. I have perfect health in mind and body, and shall live in this fashion fully as long as I so choose. I owe no money to anyone. I have a secure home and permanent prospects for popularity and prosperity. My family loves me and I them. My friends are flashing bright lights, strong and clever and a blessing to behold. I have the strength of 7 men, 1/7 my age. And how did I come to this mighty stature, you ask? How did I come to this mighty stature, you ask? How did I come to this mighty stature, you ask? Because I am a subgenius. Our founder, J.R. Bob Dobbs, the very man whose face you see printed here on your inner eyelid, was not always the saint of sales. No. Before founding our voluntary association of brainwashed freethinkers, Bob was among the elite of the conspiracy. The conspiracy of normals. Not the normal of, it would feel normal if my friend were here today, or in a normal world, that thing that happened to you would not have happened, or it's not normal how much noise those subgeniuses next door can make. Let me be the first to say, there is a subgenius connoisseurship for that variety of normal. No, I mean the normal that makes normality the norm, where everything not forbidden is compulsory, and even then you have to buy a license not to do the forbidden. I mean the conspiracy of normal in which you're tricked into thinking there could never be a handsome subgenius mate for me, or there could never be a Republican police officer who is also a subgenius. Bob knows all their tricks, and he will sell them to you. He will sell them to you. Me, I'll give you 3 conspiracy tricks for free. First, the conspiracy wants to keep you busy, night and day, making sure other people know what things out of your control you're for and which ones you're against. Second, the conspiracy wants you to think it's all planned out in advance how things are going to go for you. 3 tricks of the conspiracy for free, and all it costs you is the admission ticket. You're welcome. As every one of you full well knows, the world will end at 7 a.m. on July 5th, 1998. The world still being here leaves us with two and only two possible explanations. It could be that all Earth-based calendars are wrong and that July 5th, 1998 is a date still ahead of us. Perhaps the world ends tomorrow and you will die. And if so, are you going to look back and say, gee, I sure am glad I spent all that time head down in my phone doing unpaid data entry work for Facebook? Or are you